right, let's start on your back. Okay, so we'll come to the back and we'll start in Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of your feet together, knees open wide. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Taking a big inhale in and let it go. And then take your hands to your inner thighs and just lightly press down, creating a little more opening in your hips, hip joints, inner thighs. And then pull your knees together and take a big full body stretch. Inhale. And we'll take a banana asana. So creating the shape of a banana, move your body over to the right, move your feet to the right and your hands to the right, creating a side opening in the left side of your body, an opening in the lateral side of your left body. And then come back to center and make a banana on the other side. Move your hands and your feet to the left side, just creating like that half moon shape. And come back to center and pull your right knee in towards your chest and start just with circling your ankle around clockwise. We'll do 4 more. 3, 2, and go in the other direction. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pull on your knee and maybe move your knee out to the right side of your mat. And just breathe, inhale through your nose, exhale through your nose, building a little bit of heat with your Ujjayi breath in through your nose, out through your nose. And then take your right knee over to the left side of your body, supine twist. Getting some opening in your lower back. And come back to center, extend your right leg long and bring your left knee into your chest. And same thing here, this time circle counterclockwise. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and go in the other direction. 8 circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and grab onto your left knee with your left hand and pull your left knee over to the left. Just getting opening in your hip joint as well as your opposite hip flexor, your right hip flexor, that front part of your hip. And then come back through center and drop your left knee over to the right side. Move your gaze to the left, supine twist. And come back to center and rock and roll yourself. First, just get a little self massage on your spine. And when you feel complete there, move yourself into a tabletop. So come to your hands and knees, your shoulders stacked right over your wrists, and press your chest down, lift your chin up for cow. And then cat, pull the pit of your belly in and up towards the ceiling. Let's do that 3 more times. Cow, inhale on your cow. Exhale on your cat. And 2 more, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Last one, inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up and then thread your arm underneath your left hand. So right arm threaded underneath your left. Move your right ear down towards the mat. You can even sink your hips a little bit down towards the mat, creating some more opening in your lower back and your hips. And come back to center. And then lift your left hand up towards the ceiling. Take a gaze up towards your lifted thumb and then thread it under your right. Same thing here. Move your left ear down towards your mat Press into your right hand to create the twist, the opening. And come back to center. And let's take a downward facing dog. And just pedal out, really exaggerate you're pedaling out your dog, come up high on the balls of your feet, sink your knee down, get some opening in your hamstrings. Hamstrings also don't like sitting in car rides for long periods of time. And come up high on the balls of your feet and press your heels down, press your torso between towards your thighs, between your shoulders. Take your gaze between your thighs. Come into a ragdoll, walk your hands back towards your feet and just hang heavy. Take a bind opposite hands to opposite elbows and sway side to side, continuing to get some more opening in your hamstring, your lower back. And come to stillness, nod your head yes. And shake your head no. And release your bind. Heel toe your feet together. Halfway lift, draw a nice flat back. Inhale, forward fold, exhale. One more time. Halfway lift, inhale. And forward fold, exhale. Come all the way up to extended mountain. Round down into the four corners of both feet. And bring your hands to heart center. And let's take another clearing out breath. Inhale. Let it go, exhale. Extended mountain. Reach up towards the ceiling and forward fold. Exhale down. Halfway lift. And walk your hands out to high plank. Option to stay up on your toes or drop to your knees. Option to stay in high plank or go into low plank, moving your elbows to 90 degrees. And then upward facing dog. So hold out here. Really press down through the tops of your feet. Lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And roll over your toes into downward facing dog. All right, let's do that 2 more times. This time, step your feet up to your hands. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. And extended mountain, ground down, lift up. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift. And step into high plank or come to your knees. Option to take a low plank. Upward facing dog. Lift your ears away from your shoulders. And downward facing dog. All right, one more sun A. Move your feet to your hands, just waking up your body. Halfway lift, forward fold, extended mountain, ground down, lift up, forward fold, halfway lift, high to low plank, or just hold your high plank and go straight into upward facing dog. Reach the crown of your head high and downward facing dog, press your hips up high. All right, warrior one, step your right foot forward. So bring your right foot up by your right hand and lift up. So take a few moments here, separate your feet, have a nice wide stance, create the opening in your hip. And then take a humble warrior, take a bind behind your back and drop your torso inside your right knee. Move your gaze to your back foot. And come back up to warrior one. And open up warrior two. So take a few breaths here, really creating a nice wide stance. Reach your fingers energetically towards the short edges of your mat. And then take a peaceful warrior. And go into high plank. And make your way into downward facing dog, however you want to get there. You can go through low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Warrior one, step your left foot forward. So take a few breaths here and take up space. Take up space on your mat. Take up space with your body in the air. The taking up of space helps to create space in your body. Lift up the front of your pelvis as your tailbone descends. Humble warrior. Take a bind, drop your torso down. Just relax with what is, bring your breath to whatever is tight. Back up, warrior one. Inhale up. Open up, warrior two. Work your left knee towards 90 degrees. And take a peaceful warrior. And high to low plank, or make your way straight into downward facing dog. You can skip all of this part right here if you want. And everyone, and let's meet in downward facing dog. And take a 3-point, lift your right leg up high, open your hip, bend your knee, and let your foot just weigh heavy like it's trying to pull you off of your mat or pull you down like into a back bend, but you resist. That creates some opening in your hip flexor, as well as the lateral hip, your lateral hip. And switch sides, 3-point or 3-legged dog. Lift your left leg up high, open your hip, bend your knee, and let your foot hang heavy as if you have like a kettlebell trying to pull you over. And come back to downward facing dog. All right, once again, warrior one, step your right foot forward. We're going to add on to this. Right, all 10 toes out on your mat. Humble warrior. And open up, warrior two. Peaceful warrior. And now let's take an extended side angle. So bring your forearm down to your thigh and reach your top arm, your back arm, your left arm up towards the ceiling. You can also slide your elbow down in front of your knee and use that to press your knee more towards the right. It also, that leverage helps you to turn your heart up towards the ceiling. Sink your hips down towards your mat. Keep breathing, Ujjayi, breathing in through your nose, out through your nose. Now come into a runner's lunge. Bring both hands inside your right foot and let your hip just sink down. So your knee is still lifted, but imagine that you have some extra weight that someone just placed on your lower back, and let that gravity press your hip down towards the floor. That should create some good opening there. Now, a twisted runner's lunge. Keep your left hand down, reach your right hand high. Connecting to your breath as you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, twist a little bit deeper. And lizard lunge, so bring your hand back inside your right foot, drop your back knee down, and you can stay, roll over onto the blade edge of your right foot. You can stay up on your hands, or you can come down to your forearms and sink in. Bring softness there. This is my cranky hip side, doesn't want to cooperate. And I just have to bring my breath to it, try to let it soften. One more inhale and exhale. Then come back up to your hands and bend your back foot towards your hip, and take your right hand and reach for your bent foot. Try to pull your foot closer to your hip. Even if you can't reach your foot, just the bending it, pulling your heel towards your hip creates some opening in your quad, in your knee, in your hip flexor. And release that. Take a half split. Sink your hips over your back foot. Extend your front leg. Flex your toes towards your face. Keep some uplift in your chest. And then just come to your hands and knees into tabletop and press up into downward facing dog. And warrior one, step your left foot forward. Remember, nice wide stance. Your legs are more like in a train track. Your feet are more like a train track versus a tightrope. Humble warrior. Keep breathing. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, going deeper or twisting. Back up, warrior one. And open up, warrior two. Now your feet are more like on a tightrope. Peaceful warrior. Extended side angle on the other side. So forearm down to your thigh and your right arm, your back arm over your head. So all 10 fingers are facing towards the front edge of your mat. I like to bring my elbow down inside my knee to press my knee further to the left. It creates a little more opening in the hip joint. And turn your heart up towards the ceiling. One more breath. Runner's lunge, both hands inside your left foot. Keep your back knee up, but let your hip sink down. Twisting runner's lunge, right hand down, left hand high. Move your gaze up to your lifted fingers. Wring something out, squeeze something out. And come back to center. Drop your back knee down and lift your back foot up towards your glutes, your butt, and reach your left hand back. And if you can catch your foot and pull it closer to your hips, great. If not, just bend your knee and let that create some opening for you. And half split. Sink your hips over your back heel, straighten your front leg, but keep softness in your knee, softness in your joints. And come back to tabletop. And downward facing dog. And warrior two, step your right foot forward. And now we're going to do a little bit of balancing and hip opening at the same time. So take launch yourself into a half moon. And so half moon, you're standing on your right. And if you have a block that you can put your hand on to bring the floor up to you, that's great. And you can keep your gaze down on the ground, or take your gaze up to your lifted hand. It might make it a little more wobbly. Now revolve your half moon, bring your left hand down, reach your right hand high. Now your hips are squared to your mat. And come up to extended mountain. Inhale up. Warrior two, step your right foot back. So now your left foot is forward. And launch yourself into a half moon. So stacking your shoulders on top of each other, stacking your hips on top of each other. And it might be wobbly, and if you fall out, that's okay. Just come back in. That's what's happening to me right now. So your hips should be open and squared to whatever is on the right side of your mat. For me, that is my computer monitor. And revolved half moon, bring your right hand down, reach your left hand high. Now your hips are squared to your mat. And come on up to extended mountain. And let's take a figure four, one more balancing pose. So cross standing on your right foot, cross your left ankle over your right. You can stay right here, working the opening. You can also bend your standing leg, your right leg, and bring your elbow down to your knee to create a little bit more opening. Also an option to slide your fingertips down towards your mat for even deeper opening in your hips is your outer hip, your lower back. And switch sides, figure four, stand on your left, bring your right foot, cross your right ankle over your left knee, stay up here or fold. And option to slide your hand down towards the floor. With each exhale, try to sink a little bit lower. Take 2 more breaths. And come back up, extended mountain. And warrior two, step your left foot back, so your right foot's forward. And triangle, straighten your front leg and bring your right hand down towards your shin or your ankle or a block. And keep your left hand up towards the ceiling. You can take your gaze up to your lifted hand or your grounded hand, either one. Again, connecting to your breath, lengthening on your inhale, twisting even a millimeter counts more on your exhale. And then come up to a side facing, so your feet are further than shoulder width apart, and forward fold. So side facing, wide legged forward fold. Take a bind somewhere on your feet or ankles and pull your torso towards your chest. And then roll yourself up, and let's take a triangle to the, well, first take a warrior two to the back of your mat. So now you're facing the back, so your left knee is bent, and straighten your left knee into a triangle and bring your hand down. So left hand down, right hand high. Pull the pit of your belly in and up. And come back up, and another side facing wide legged forward fold. This time take a bind behind your back and forward fold. And it's continuing the Ujjayi breath in through your nose, out through your nose. And release that and roll up, turning your toes out towards the short edges of your mat, and bring your hands down to your knees. Drop your left shoulder towards your right knee, twisting out, push on your left knee. Use that to create opening in your inner thigh. And come back to center, other side. Drop your right shoulder towards your left knee. And then come up to center, and we'll take a standing frog. So slide your knees, or you're like in goddess, like this, and then slide your hands down towards your ankle. Use your elbows to press your knees open. Sink your hips down. Should be a pretty juicy hip opener there. Hurts so good. And release that and make your way up to the front of your mat into a plank and lower down to your belly. And we'll take a scorpion. So your arms are either in T arms or in cactus arms. And you're gonna lift your right leg up and over your left and roll over onto your left hip. Move your left ear and your left shoulder down towards your mat. Try to bring your right foot to the floor, at least towards the floor. Switch sides. Come back to your belly. Lift your left leg up and over. Move over. Slide onto your right hip. And press your right shoulder and right ear down towards the mat or floor. And come back to center. Let's come into a locust pose. So bring your arms down by your hips, palms facing down. Lift your heart up, lift your thighs up. And you know the drill. Lift the corners of your mouth up and smile. And take it down. All right, you can take another locust pose, or you can do a floor bow. Floor bow, grab your ankles, the outside ankles. And press your feet up. Reach the crown of your head up. Going for 10 counts if you want to do one leg at a time. And switch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you got one leg, switch now. One more 5 set of counts. 1, 2, 3, get bigger. 4 and 5. Hold on to your ankles. Pull your ankles down towards your hips. And release that. And windshield wiper your shins side to side. And come into an upward facing dog. One more little back bend here. And downward facing dog. And let's take a half pigeon. And so bring your right shin forward. So really moving into some hip opening here. It's also an option to take a reclined half pigeon. So regular half pigeon, bringing your right shin towards the front of your mat and fold over your front leg. You can also do that on your back by coming onto your back and cross your right ankle over your left knee and pull your left knee towards your face while you push your right knee away from you. So that's the reclined half pigeon version, or take the regular half pigeon version. I'm going to move back into the regular half pigeon version. So everything that we're doing, everything that we've done up to this point really is just creating space to create this space. Your tissues should be warmed up and ready to do more of this opening work. Resist the urge to close your eyes. You want to stay present. Be here now. And then make your way out of that and switch sides. So if you're in a reclined half pigeon, cross your left ankle over your right knee and pull your right knee towards your face. Regular half pigeon, bring your left shin forward. Move your right leg behind you. And you can start up, reaching the crown of your head up to just get in position. And then fold over your front leg. If you have a block, it's a great place for a block, like underneath your forehead, or it can be underneath your left hip. If your left hip is floating really high in the air, this helps to ground it a little bit. Stay present. Use your drishti, your focus, your breath. Two more rounds of breath. Inhale and exhale. And one more. And swing your back leg around and come into a seated position. Extend both legs forward. For seated forward fold, lift your hands up towards the ceiling and fold forward. Take a bind anywhere on your leg, your shin, your ankle, your feet, your toes. But keep some uplift in your chest. That softness in your knees. Your legs are straight, but not locked out. You don't want to lock your joints out. And seated butterfly, bring the soles of your feet together, knees open wide. And you can just open your legs like a book. And you can just push on your knees, or I like to put my hands on my ankles and use the leverage of my forearms on my shin to press my knees open. And come on out of that and take a reverse tabletop. So your feet are shoulder width apart, your fingers are pointed towards your hips, and press into your hands, lift your hips up, and you can stay looking forward or drop your head behind you. Creates a little bit more of a shoulder opener when you do that. And then come on out of that. You can take fish. So if you have a block, it's a great place to put a block right underneath your thoracic spine and then fold your back onto it. Or you can come just down to your forearms and drop your head behind you. So this is a good heart opener. And if you use the block underneath your thoracic spine, it creates a little bit more of a spine opening as well. And then come into an inversion. So you can take a waterfall. So that's just simply laying flat on your back and lifting your feet up towards the ceiling. You can also stick a block underneath your sacrum, underneath your lower back to raise your hips up a little bit, or you can come into a shoulder stand. But any of these help to reverse the blood flow. You really want to work on draining your lymphatic system, the lower part of your lymphatic system. We've been squeezing out all the toxins in this practice, and now it's time to let them move into the garbage disposal, which is up by your heart. So lifting your feet up over your head and you're getting your hips up over your heart helps with that process. If you're in shoulder stand, you can drop into plow, or you can just stay where you are. And plows, drop your toes over your head towards the floor. They get there, great, but they don't have to get there. And then move into a deaf man's pose. So drop your ears or your knees by your ears. Or for me, it's by my temples of my head. My spine just doesn't have that kind of mobility. And then everyone slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. And now we'll close similarly to how we began with the supine twist. So this time, do eagle legs, cross your left leg over your right and drop your knees to the right and move your gaze to the left. And you can give yourself an assist by putting your right hand on the outside of your left knee to pull a little bit deeper in the opening. This should feel a little bit more accessible than it did the first time you did it. And switch sides. So cross your right leg over your left, drop your knees to the left, take your gaze to the right. And come back to center and extend your legs out long, lay your body out long. The last pose, the hardest pose really, is to be still. Just take this last moment of stillness. You have nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to fix. Just be still. Shavasana. Just melt into your mat. And bring some movement back to your fingers and toes, some awareness. I know that was just a short little nap, but every bit counts. Take a full body stretch. Reach your arms up over your head, your feet away from you. Inhale. Sip in a little more air. And exhale, pull your knees into your chest. And rock and roll yourself back up into a seated position. And just bring your hands to heart center. Acknowledge yourself for showing up when nobody else did. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.